Okay.
Maybe a little bit of like,
Yeah. Okay, I'm doing this talk as a sort of teaser for the upcoming exhibition at the National Portrait Gallery. And it's going to be in two parts. The first one about his life and works, and the second one about his painting techniques. Yeah, so this is self-portrait he did in 1892. Here's the first slide. So John Singer Sargent was born in 1856 in Florence to Mr. Fitzwilliam and Mary Sargent. Fitzwilliam was an eye surgeon in Philadelphia, and they decided to move from the US to Europe, mainly because Mary had a miscarriage, and they wanted to sort of recover from that, and thought traveling around Europe would be the best option. So yeah, they were in Florence when John Singer Sargent was born. And yeah, he did these two portraits around the same time in 1880. I just love the sort of contrast between sort of light and dark. Yeah, very sort of expressive faces. The next slide. Okay, so this is John with Emily, his younger sister, aged 11 and 10. Emily had a sort of accident when she was younger, and had a sort of spinal deformity for the rest of her life. So John very much supported her, and yeah, just looked after her, and she was very supportive of him. They always went travelling together, and were both sort of constant companions. Yeah, and the second daughter, here's the next slide. That's Emily in 1874. And then the next slide. And this is Violet Sargent, age 5. This was done in 1874 as well.
So he was 18 years old?
Pretty much, yeah. But I love sort of contrast between the two. I mean, Emily is a lot more sort of similar to his portrait paintings he did when he was older, but there's a lot more sort of very sort of subtle and very sort of loose. There's a lot of sort of highlights in ways, very subtle. Yeah, and Violet was the only one of the Sargents to marry, and it was actually her family, the Ormonds, who helped with Sargent's legacy after he died, and have one of the biggest collections of his work. On to the next slide. So, yeah, Sargent started drawing when he was about 4 years old, and was very sort of encouraged by his parents, including Mary, who herself was an amateur artist. And she remarked that John sketches quite nicely and has a quick and correct eye. And yeah, in Florence he studied under Carl Welch, a German watercolour painter, when he was 14. So yeah, this was in Switzerland when he was 14. Yeah. And the next two are also watercolours. The matter on the Eiger, respectively. Yeah, he spent a lot of time in Switzerland, as well as Florence. But yeah, these are done as well when he was 14. Yeah, and sort of during this time, he didn't really go to school, sort of, since they were constantly travelling, but he became fluent in French, German, and Italian, as well as English. And became very good at playing piano, also violin. I think he could have been quite a good pianist if he hadn't been not a professional pianist, if he hadn't concentrated on painting. Next slide. Okay, so this is a portrait of Carlyle Duran. The Sargent family moved to Paris in 1874. Mainly because they wanted Sargent to get fair teaching, and Florence wasn't quite the right place for that, as Paris was sort of centre of the art and culture in Europe. And yeah, it was Carrel Durand's atelier which they found. He was considered the best teacher in Paris at the time. And this was painted in 1879 for the Paris Salon. Yeah, it's a great place. He was quite a young teacher as well, compared to some of the older teachers at the time. Next slide.
Can I point one thing out about that painting?
Yeah.
The red pin is the Legion of Honor pin. So he was awarded the France's highest honor. The Legion of Honor is outside the Musée d'Orsay, where Anne's great-great-grandfather has loads of pastels
Was that
in.
Franco-Prussian War?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See the red pin?
Mm.
And his cane.
Mm.
Sorry.
Scott, I think it's rather dapper teacher. I think we need to...
No, that's fine.
I particularly like the striped trousers.
And the green jacket.
I thought the ruffs would suit you.
Yes.
But yeah, I love the pose, sort of kind of leaning away from Dia. Go to the next slide. This is a profile of James Carrel Beckwith, another American, who shared a studio with Sargent. And yeah, they were considered the top two students at the atelier, and Durand would take them to Nice as a sort of travelling companions. And yeah, I mean, the atelier had only about 22 students, and only 2 of them were French, so it was quite a sort of very sort of cosmopolitan place. So you had Americans, Brits, Italians, and it was seen quite early on that Sargent was far outcasing his fellow students. Yeah, particularly at painting. If you go on to the next slide. So yeah, these are sort of 2 examples of the work he did at the atelier. There aren't that many surviving, just because with paintings you would scrape a lot and start again, a bit like what we do really. Yeah, the one on the left is a study for the dancing form, and yeah, the one on the right is a male model, both done in 1874. Yeah, his sort of daily routine at the studio would be spend a full day at Durand's atelier, and then we'd do 2 hours life drawing at the École des Beaux-Arts, and then a further 2 hours at Leon Bonnet's studio, who's another artist. So yeah, that would have been about 12 hours work per day. Yeah, incredible work ethic. Yeah, his sister sort of commented that he works like a dog from morning till night. Go on to the next slide. There's another male model. They painted mostly male models at the atelier, not women. And one of these models, who was Italian, Niccolo Di Veno. Yeah, he became sort of a travelling companion of Sargent's for about 25 years of his life. And yeah, I mean, there aren't that many female nudes which Sargent did, especially in oil. There's only one which I'll show you later. Yeah, so if you go on to the next slide. Yeah, aged 20, Sargent and his family went to the States for the first time, mainly to get his citizenship. And he did a series of paintings sort of on the journey there, which actually was shown at the Sargent and the Sea exhibition, which was at the Royal Academy about 4 years ago. Yeah. Go on to the next one. Yeah, I love this one just because it's looking out at the sort of stern of the ship. And it's sort of angled in such a way that the waves appear sort of enormous. This is named the Atlantic Storm. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I think, yeah, this is one painting I remember from that exhibition, which I wanted to show. No, not on that journey. Yeah, I mean, most of the photos would have been from what his sisters would have taken. But yeah, there aren't that many photos of Vetch or him working. And yeah, back in Paris. Go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the first painting Sargent showed at the salon of his friend Fanny Watts. Well, her full name was Frances Sherburne Ridley Watts, but Fanny for short. Yeah, and just, already, I mean, he was aged 21 when he did this. And already sort of showing the sort of very light, kind of feathery strokes, and yeah, making him appear very sort of confident and self-assured. Also quite a similar pose to the Duran, where he's sort of leaning back a little bit on his chair. And yeah, so he went to Cancale during the summer, which is in Brittany. It's not known for its oyster fisheries, and while the men were away fishing in Newfoundland, the women and children would spend their days sort of oyster catching. He did a series of studies, quite a few, for his full painting. And he would sort of paint at different times of day to show sort of the tide and also the light. So yeah, the ones on the left are more sort of in the sort of afternoon, evening, and then the one on the right is sort of early morning. If you go on to the next slide.
Can I make a comment about those?
Yeah.
So go to the next slide. That painting is probably as big as the Terence poster, right? This painting here. But the other ones, now go back, those are almost life-size studies. They're in the Terra Museum in Chicago, and they're actually painted on card. I don't know why. Like de Laszlo did that as well. And it's very rare to see these pictures. The Terra is a family, very wealthy family in Chicago that owns a museum. Anyway, they may be moving it because they've lacked funding, because they don't want to fund it anymore. But these are absolutely stunning pictures of studies, preparatory studies, to then actually go and do that next.
On card prepared or with rabbit? Don't know.
Don't know. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
So, this is the main picture, the oyster catchers of Cancale, which he did from 1877 to 78. Yeah, he did 2 copies at different times of the day. Yeah, so this would be sort of kind of early. And yeah, I just love the way sort of he does very light washes for the beach and the sea and the sky, just showing that sort of ebbing tide. And yeah, I love the sort of reflecting sort of figures and the sort of colours left behind. Yeah, and just sort of emphasising that like all the men are away on sort of fishing trips. It's just the women who are sort of holding the fort in a way. Yeah, and it was yeah, it was very well received at the salon. And yeah, he exhibited at the salon from 1877 to 1885. Yeah, go on to the next slide. And so, yeah, he spent his summer and autumn in 1878 in Capri, near Italy. And these are sort of very quick oil studies he did, showing sort of peasant lifestyle, which he very much admired. Thought it was very sort of pure and honest, but obviously didn't really show the poverty, which was very strong about them. If you go on to the next two. So yeah, these are two portraits of a peasant girl. Her name is Rosina Ferrera. Both very different. And yeah, the one on the right he did in the style of the Spanish artist Soria. And yeah, it's amazing contrast of skin tones. While the one on the right is almost sort of the skin's almost sort of sunburnt. And yeah, the one on the left is a lot more sort of muted tone, very sort of expressive. And yeah, he did a number of paintings of Rosina. And yeah, if you go to Venice. He was in Venice from 1880 to 82. And what I like about this one is reminds me a lot of sort of Whistler's studies he did of Venice. It was sort of very cool lights. I don't know if, I think Whistler and Sargent did meet on occasion.
Yeah, I think that's his studio.
Yeah, I don't think they hate each other, just Whistler wasn't too keen on Sargent's work, he thought he'd sold out.
Everyone,
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
He's very confrontational.
What do you think so?
Yeah, he thought Sargent had sort of sold out based on his sort of when he was doing his portrait paintings in the 1890s. They did share a studio at one point on Tite Street. Sargent was on the top floor and Whistler was in the basement. Yeah, here's the next one.
It's in London.
That's Venice.
I think.
Oh, in Tite Street
Yeah.
studios in London, yeah. Yeah, this is the interior in Venice. Yeah, he did a series of these paintings. But I just love that sort of strip of light, just on the floor. And yeah, sort of very sort of contrasting with the sort of cool interior. Let's go on to the next one. And this is a street scene in Venice as well. These were done in 1880, 24. Yeah. Yeah, you keep on sort of forgetting sort of how old he is when he does these. And so around this time he was becoming very inspired by the Impressionist movement. So artists like Manet, who would sort of show kind of everyday scenes. And yeah, this is sort of his sister Violet. And this is done in Nice. Yeah, I just like the way sort of kind of the open doors, sort of blending into a dress. It's almost like done in the same sort of in the same colour. And yeah, he was becoming very sort of inspired by the use of light. So you'd have sort of light from the ceiling and also light from the open window on the table. If you want to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, he started doing studies of a woman called Madame Gautreau, also known as Madame X, in 1883. Yeah, this was Madame Gautreau had asked Sargent to do a full-length portrait of her. She was known as a great beauty in Paris. She's a very famous socialite. And yeah, Sargent wanted a sort of a profile of her, sort of showing her very long neck. Yeah, it's interesting they left the sort of strap as in sort of on the right shoulder there. If you go to the next one. So yeah, this is a painting as it is now of Madame X. The reason it caused such a scandal when it was shown at the salon, well, mainly because of her sort of very pale skin tone and her dress. But if you go on to the next slide, the one after, this is the original. This is a photo of the original at the salon, and you can see a strap on the right side. Someone's coming off. And yeah, because of the scandal from that, he actually just repainted it, but it didn't really make much of a difference.
It was because her mother was horrified by it, commenting, she's a fallen woman.
She asked, I think, her nephew to challenge Sargent to a duel if he didn't take it down. One critic commented that one struggled and she would jump out of her dress. Almost, yeah, just beautiful. I mean, Sargent considered this his best painting he did. And yeah, like after he took it down, he kept it in the studio. Yeah, if you, yeah, and also, I think, yeah, it's just very sort of risky kind of pose. I mean, Madame X didn't actually mind it at first, and then I think with the family sort of hating it, she decided she didn't like it as well.
So did he redo the strap, or did he redo the whole thing?
No, just the strap. If you, that was the original, and this is the one he sort of repainted. Yeah, so you would have just, I don't know how you would have done that. Yeah, I mean,
Where is that painting?
the one without strap? Oh, it's at Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Metropolitan.
Study at Tate Britain.
Yeah. That study is in Tate Britain. Yeah, because it's mainly because of the scandal that Sargent decided to leave Paris to London. Yeah. He wasn't getting any commissions, and yeah, it was just just wanted something different. So he moved into number 33 Tite Street.
Is that?
Yeah, if you know the
84.
yeah, it's very near the London Sketch Club, if you know it. Yeah, in Chelsea. And it was overlooking the Chelsea Hospital. He would later move into number 31 Tite Street, which is the one next to it, the smaller building. It's still there today, if you go on to the next. Ready? So the previous, one of the previous authors, a chap called Julian Bowers, his wife still lives there, so she invites us around.
What?
It's we don't know how long it's going to be there because it's developers sort of kind of thinking of redoing it.
It was advertised in one of those magazines the other day, the free ones coming around. Suddenly saw it. So it's actually on the market now.
Yeah.
Not the studio, that was.
Is that the one he showed in his?
Oh, Whistler, yeah, Whistler was in
33.
basement studios. It wasn't there for that long. And yeah, Sargent had, this is the sort of top floor. He also had the one below, and also the one to the left, so he had about 3 studios at one point. Going on to the next slide. Yeah, this huge sort of colonnade, Sargent sort of brought back from Florence, I think. And that's sort of a window overlooking Tite Street. Yeah, come on to the next slide. So, yeah. That's me in front of
In your house.
yeah.
Wearing gloves.
That's actually really a sort of copy which Julian Barrows did of Robert Lynn Stevenson's wife, exercise. I don't know quite why he copied it, but it's very long. Yeah, if you go on the next slide.
Isn't a copy of the same painting in the same size illegal?
I think he did it for, because they had an auction sort of in 2004 for this painting. I think the family might have, who were auctioning it, might have wanted him to.
I think it's probably illegal if you try and sell it as an original.
Yeah, no, they just kept it.
That's definitely illegal.
It's good portrait. So yeah, this painting of Robert Louis Stevenson, his wife, was painted in 1885 at his house, and yeah, it's one of 3 portraits that Sargent did of Robert Louis Stevenson. One of them was actually destroyed by his wife, Fanny, who's sitting in the chair. She actually hated it. Yeah, it just really kind of shows sort of Robert Louis Stevenson in this sort of frame of mind. This is just after he had written Treasure Island, I think, in 1883, and then he would have written Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in 1886, I think. So it's sort of at the height of his career. He actually got a letter which he wrote to a friend about what he thought about this painting. Okay, Robert Louis Stevenson to W.H. Lowe, October 22nd, 1885. Sargent was down again and painted a portrait of me walking about in my own dining room, in my own velveteen jacket, and twisting as I go my own moustache. At one corner, a glimpse of my wife in an Indian dress and seated in a chair that was once my grandfather's. It is, I think, excellent. It is too eccentric to be exhibited. I'm at one extreme corner. My wife is in this wild dress, looking like a ghost is at the other extreme end. And between us is an open door exhibiting my palatial entrance hall and part of my respected staircase. All this is touched and lovely, with that witty touch of Sargent's, but of course it looks down queer as a whole. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think he liked it. Definitely sort of character. Okay, so I talked a bit about the Sargent being inspired by an impressionist. He met Claude Monet in 1876, and was very much sort of taken back by the show they did at the Salon. And yeah, he did a few paintings with Monet at the time. This was done in 1885. And we think it shows Monet painting the meadow with haystacks near Gavoni. And seated behind him is his Blanche, his shed, his sort of assistant and later his wife. So yeah, you can see that. I mean, it's done in very sort of impressionist style. But Sargent's story.